It's awesome to It's awesome to be here with you. So Dylan just turned on the recording. So if you look over my shoulder, those are pictures of my clients. So those are some of the people in Attractor Factor. That picture right over there, that is the man who killed Spider-Man in the movie Spider-Man. And that man right up there over my shoulder is Ryan Morris. That is the man who actually introduced me to Desiree back in the day. Now, attraction is a skill. You've heard the term law of attraction. What I'm going to cover tonight is the science of attraction, because there's an absolute science to attraction. And at the highest level of attraction, we create this synchronicity. This is a great book called There Are No Accidents. Don, take a look at this book. I'll be recommending this to you. It's written by Hopke. And in this book, I've had this book over 20 years. In synchronicity, and then the next level of synchronicity is synchrodestiny, where you are destined to meet someone. So as I said, there is a man right up there over that shoulder, right there, I'm pointing at him. His name is Ryan Morris. And that was a picture of he and I taken in 2012. That is the man that introduced me to Desiree. And that is why I'm on here, this Facebook Live tonight. And that man was introduced to me by a man named Kurt Molly. And Kurt Molly came to me through a man named Andrew. And Andrew came to me through a man named Chad. And Chad came to me through a man named Jim Piccolo, and that goes back to 1996. So that's the 6 degrees of separation of how we can attract to our reality people, situations, occlusal occurrences in alignment to our reality, provided you're in that level of consciousness. Now, we also attract to our reality people and situations that fulfill trauma bonds, anxiety, fear, and doubt. If you've ever been in a traumatic relationship, if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, if you grew up in a household where there was drama, chaos, toxicity, alcoholism, violence, and all the other situations that happen, that can have a huge impact on the feelings that you hold on to, and then who and what you attract. Now, you're in a business, you're not in a job. So in a job, oftentimes you're not responsible for who you attract on the job, especially if you're not doing the hiring, the firing, and you're not the owner. When you own your own business and you're creating a business with leverage and you're responsible for creating your own leads, then you're going to be responsible for who and what you attract. So this number over here is the 80%. 80% of the people around that you connect with will not be open to what you have for them. You have products, benefits, features, and services, and it's going to be your responsibility, the ability to respond rather than react to the stimulus. When you react, you're in fight or flight, and that's what creates rejection and anxiety fears, rejection and abandonment fears. And then your ego says, I don't want to hear the word no, and I got gaslighted and ghosted, when in reality, the person wasn't interested. So if someone doesn't get back to you, they're not getting back to you typically because you did something wrong. They're not getting back to you because they're not interested, or you were not effective in this presentation because you're relatively new. So for you to really next level, like up here. So if you're down here tonight and you want to next level and transcend consciousness, there's some skills that I can assist you with over the course of this 12-week course. I'll give you some suggested readings and affirmations that you can do to enhance your law of averages. Now, in your industry, one person can absolutely change the course of your career. I mean, one person, 1 or 2 people in a binary pay plan can max out the pay plan. I know a woman named Jennifer Corliss Trinkner, Desiree knows her. I met her, she hired me to be her coach in 2011. And in her first 2 years of being in Isogenics, she attracted 2 people in her very first year who eventually maxed out the pay plan. Now, Don, that would change the course of your life. I mean, that's when luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Now, I'm not saying she was lucky. I'm saying she was skilled, and she had 2 people in her circle of influence that maxed out the pay plan. One's name was Jeff and Debbie Beebe, and the other one's name is Casey Fluff. And you may not have even heard of them, but they maxed out I mean, if that happened to you, that means that you'd be achieving over $60,000 in a calendar month. That can actually happen to you, provided that you believe that you're capable of that. But if you're in doubt, anxiety, and fear, it's going to affect who and what you attract. Let's break down the superstar myth. You do not have to be a superstar to attract people who can produce. You do not have to have a bloodline. You do not have to have a college degree. You do not have to be intelligent, but you do have to have some street sense. You have to have some awareness and be able to communicate and connect with people, because you never know who the next C.G. Siddons is. I coached C.G. early in her career. I didn't know that C.G. would be the woman that she is today. I didn't know that I would be the man that I am today, because I was a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, rock bottom at 31. I mean, somewhere within me, I knew I had it, but I had been through so many challenges, ups and downs, rock bottoms, homeless, just living on my parents' couch at 31, and then ended up in a wheelchair in a drug and alcohol clinic. That's rock bottom. No one requires that to change your life. What you're required to change is a commitment. So tonight, here's an affirmation for you. Now, this comes from a deck of cards I produced back in 2005. They're called More Heart Than Talent cards. They're the size of a playing card. This is the deck itself. They sell for 20 bucks. You can, there's another deck I also recommend, if you can find it, by Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. Don, write this one down. This one's for you, baby. The book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. Florence Scovel Shinn. In chapter 3, she writes, word is law. Words do not return void. And she also wrote a book, My Word is My Wand. I started reading this content in 1991. Now, here's the affirmation that I wrote. It says, I easily and effortlessly attract prosperity partners I can collaborate with. If you want to take a screenshot of that, go ahead and do that. I easily and effortlessly attract prosperity partners I can collaborate with. Go ahead and take a screenshot or memorize it or write it down right there. And you can use this affirmation specifically tonight before you rest. Now, also in affirming, you want to also be able to affirm that resting is a skill, that you rest easily and effortlessly, so you don't toss and turn. Now, the reason this is a 12-week course, because the reason I chose 12 weeks, because I'm very connected to the 12 steps. And so I'm a very methodical, systemized, organized, detailed person. And so if you coach with me or you listen to this content, there's a method to everything I do. I don't wing anything. I'm very detailed, and I'm a fundamentalist. So I teach the fundamentals. And so there's no instant gratification and there's no overnight success. But what I teach is how to create the compounded effect so you can change who you are, and then specifically who and what you attract. Now, here's another affirmation right here. This one says, money flows to me easily and effortlessly. This is a very important affirmation, and that covers last week's Zoom. So money comes to me easily and effortlessly. That unequivocally is a belief that you require to start to understand. Now, that doesn't mean you're past that. That's the history. And by the time you're 18, you've spent 20,000 meals with the financial planners who conditioned you to feel the way you feel. And no matter what you felt back then, or how money was spoken about, or whatever the situation is, you can begin to change your feelings about that. So that means deserving, receiving, and being able to ask for commitments, ask for a raise in a job, being able to ask to be able to upgrade into a seat, ask for the table by the window, ask for what you feel you're comfortable with. But when your ego, the lower self, says, who am I? Who am I to think I could be a millionaire? Well, that self-talk right there will continue to attract people to fulfill the same set of feelings. So the fundamentals of attraction is being comfortable with attracting people. I coached a woman today, and she was my coaching client, and she lives in Pennsylvania. And she just so happens that she lives in Wyoming, Pennsylvania. And I have a real estate agent there. And I suggested she reach out to him. And she immediately goes, oh, what am I going to say? I go, you're not going to say anything. You reach out to him and you ask him a question. So I gave her a set of skills on what to ask this person. And she reached out to my real estate agent. He makes $500,000 a year selling real estate. And she was shocked at how easy it was to sign him up. He signed himself up from the link, and the common denominator was I coached both of them, and he signed himself up on a link for $99 of auto ship before she ever spoke to him. Now, she was shocked that it could be this easy. Now, that shocker that she was that easy is this is also a man of influence or affluence. And so in her comfort zone, she doesn't feel comfortable in talking. That was her word, talking to people of that magnitude, because in her story, these people are way up there. In reality, he was the easiest sign up she's ever signed up in 2 years. Now I realized I was one of the common denominators, and I had a feeling that that would happen, but I wasn't certain that that would happen. And then he also wants to refer her clients. Now, once again, this can change, Don. This is what you and I are going to be covering, this type of attraction. So this is what can change your whole life. This is what can change your belief, your sense of certainty. That one person that shows up in your life, or the one person who mentors you in your life, or that one person who gives you permission, or that one person who's in there with you long enough to give you the insight, the wisdom to be able to change who and what you attract. Now, attraction also requires object honesty. The honesty of you take a look at what you've been attracting your entire life, Tyrone and Jackie and Karen. You're the only ones I see. Now in this, so I see 4 of you. So I feel like I'm talking to the 4 of you, Don, Tyrone, Jackie, and Karen. If anyone else can join me, feel free to be up there. But for you, Tyrone, to be able to change who and what you attract, it requires honesty. You take a look at who you've been attracting in your relationships. Who have been your bosses and managers? Who have you dated, mated, married? Who are your circle of influence as a teenager, as in high school, college? And then it starts to tell the story of who you're comfortable with. Now, if you want to attract people that are more prosperous, people who are more productive, people who have influence and affluence, that's a permission situation. It doesn't come from your bloodline. It doesn't come from your PhD, your public high school diploma. It doesn't come from a master's degree. It comes from permission. You start to feel comfortable with self, Tyrone, like you're comfortable with yourself. If you're not comfortable with yourself, you're going to telegraph that uncomfortability. You're going to start and stop in a conversation, and your ego is going to say, well, they're way up there, and I'm just a little old Tyrone down here. And I'm not good enough. I'm relegated to riding a bicycle. I don't even have a car anymore, or whatever story you tell yourself. Smile at me, Tyrone. Good, good, cool. So that's the warmth that you begin to transmute. But when you're all uptight like this, oh my God, if I talk to this person, you know, what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I was in a health club in 1996. And there was a woman there who was a personal trainer. I could tell she was Italian. She had the juice. She had the edge. She had the Desiree edge. She had the Alexis edge. She had the juice. You could tell it. I struck up a conversation with her, and she asked me if I asked her if she kept her options open for additional streams of income. And she says, "Is this network marketing?" I said, "Absolutely. Are you familiar with the industry?" Now, see, Tyrone, that was my reflex. I didn't go into fight or flight and go, oh my God, she thinks I'm in a pyramid and she thinks I'm trying to recruit her. I was recruiting her. I mean, I'm a recruiter. I'm a producer. And if I'm going to speak to someone, I'm going to see where they are. But I don't throw down on people. I'm very diplomatic about the process. And Don, I'll be teaching you this, how to be a very skilled recruiter, because that's what you're being. It's not a do factor, it's a be. So you are looking for people who believe what you believe. But if you have a low self-esteem, then that's what you're going to attract. So this is what's so awesome about network marketing, direct sales, this industry, is your past has no bearing on your present in this industry unless you give it power. So where you are today, I have seen so many people go from, I knew Jimmy Smith when he was in another company. I knew him 2 companies before he ever came to Isogenics. Jimmy's story is amazing. He was a butcher in Pennsylvania, in Westchester, Pennsylvania. His original company was a company called NSA. Then he was in a company called USANA. And I met him in that company through Deborah Kay, and I met Deborah Kay, and I met Susan Sly through Deborah Kay. And so that trifecta, I started doing events for Jimmy Smith back in the early 2000s. And Susan, I was there when it all started. That whole attractor factor is a byproduct of letting go. And Susan Sly was not an overnight success. So those of you who see her today, I knew her when she was at rock bottom. She was on her couch with a debilitating disease that she tells the story. I knew her back then. But once again, you don't have to be on a couch. You don't have to be at rock bottom. You require the skills of letting go so you can change who and what you attract. How do I attract the people that I require in a business? First of all, you start to have some guidelines of who you're looking for. And I would suggest you don't look for the person who needs it the most. You find the people who deserve it. What many people do is they go out and find the lowest common denominator. They go out and find the person who's at rock bottom, and they try and drag them into a business because they think they need it. And what you're going to find is you're going to find more and more of the people who that you prejudge are the ones who will do the business, and the ones that you go out and try and drag, cajole, beg, and convince into the business become your worst nightmare. And so see, if you convince someone of the business, then you got to continue to convince them to stay in the business. Hey, did you have auto ship? You have no idea. I really need that auto ship. Please, please, please. Hey, do you have any relatives? I mean, you have to let go of that energy. That's desperation. If you're going to change who and what you attract, you come from inspiration, because you come from being inspired. You also, in any type of attraction skill, let go of the possibility of being rejected. Are you hearing me, Tyrone? Are you feeling me? Are you feeling me that you're letting go? Jackie, you hear me on that? Jackie, you hear me? Karen, do you understand that you let go of being rejected? Because if someone doesn't buy from you, they're not rejecting you. Don, you feel me, my brother? Or you with me? Right on, baby. You right. So you're not being rejected. Now, I mean, if you fumble all around and make a fool of yourself, that's one situation. But people don't reject you. They're not interested. Now, occasionally, someone will confront you. Occasionally, rarely. Is this a pyramid? No, you go, no, are you looking for one? I understand corporate America is hiring every day. I mean, no, this isn't a pyramid. That only happens if you project it. So you're going to attract to your reality the very situation you seek to avoid. I once had a very arrogant person go, so if you're making so much money, why don't you show me copies of your checks? Well, at that point, I didn't have any checks to show him, and I wouldn't have anyway. I said, I will do that if you'll show me copies of your tax return. And here's the sound I heard, click. He hung up. So don't ever be intimidated by a prospect. I mean, once again, it's your posture is going to determine your outcome. And your posture should be a very relaxed energy where you're not intimidated by the process. You're presenting opportunities, value propositions, products, services, benefits, and features. Your company's come out with some really great products in the last 2 years. There's adaptogens, there's collagen, and there's a new hair product. I mean, there's a great vanity product right now. Very timely product for the marketplace. And then what do Americans and Canadians and Australians require the most? They require a business at home. It used to be for tax purposes, but people are losing their jobs in droves today. You're actually providing someone the opportunity to change their financial situation. And then the culture you come from, the culture, the tools. Isagenix has some of the best videos of any company in the industry. Now, you may not know this because you don't see the industry like I see it, but most companies don't have the video system that you have. Most companies don't have the tools and the marketing you have in place. Take advantage of them. That's the leverage. So establish who you are seeking to attract. So a lot of women, they talk like this, I'm going to go after moms. Well, that's great. You're going after, but is that what you're doing? Are you going after, or are you seeking people who are looking for a value proposition, who are looking for a business? I look for people who want to create at least a 4 or 5 figure income from the comfort of their home. I look for people who are health conscious. I don't want the person who is who's in the worst shape and has gut issues and is overwhelmed, is overweight. That person is going to be overwhelmed and overweight. I'm looking for someone who's already healthy, someone who's already prosperous, someone who adds an extra stream of income, or someone who is dissatisfied with the situation. How do you find this out, Tyrone? By asking questions in a sequence. Tyrone, if you went with me into a Starbucks, I could turn you into a rock star in moments. You feel me, Tyrone? Because I'm going to look at that person across the counter, and the first thing I'm going to look at is the name tag. And so the name tag is, I'm going to start a sentence with their first name. The sweetest sound, Tyrone, is the sound of someone's name. You feel me, Jackie? Karen, you hear this? That when you're communicating with people, you use the person's name, pause, comma, and then you ask a question. So if I see someone in Starbucks across the counter, Susan, I couldn't help but notice you have great multitasking skills. Have you ever considered being an entrepreneur? Don, I cannot tell you how many times I've been to a Starbucks with a client of mine, showed them the ease of that, and left with the phone number. And then with that phone number, you make the phone call the very next day. Can I speak with Susan, please? Susan, you may or may not remember me. I met you yesterday at Starbucks. I'm the man who commented about your multitasking skills. Now I'm going to stop. I want to see if they recognize it. And then I'm going to say, Susan, the reason I'm calling you. So that's the purpose, Tyrone. That's the purpose question. You're reaching out to the purpose. And that you ask that question. I'm reaching out to see if you're health conscious, if you're looking for, so once again, now I would only ask that if I felt a connection to that person, I felt the warmth, the transmutation. So I'm not going to recruit everyone who's sitting next to an airplane. I look for someone I can connect with. I look for eye contact. I look for energy that transmutes. I look for feeling. I look for warmth. I look for fashion. I look for any way that I can create a connection with someone that I feel is open. And the eyes tell the story. Also, the smile. Are you going to, so you want to be able to communicate with people who you feel have influence. And so you want to have a target audience. Who is the ideal candidate? It's not everyone. I mean, it's not every single person, but you're looking for people who are open. So like you say, your warm market, put everyone down on a list. Well, everyone doesn't qualify to be on my list because there's a lot of broken souls from my past. Now, I'm not prejudging people, but I'm going to speak to the people who are the most likely candidates first, not the least likely candidates. What many people do is they speak to the least likely candidates first, then they get discouraged. It requires some momentum. This is 2022, 2 a week. That's factor that. Enroll 2 people a week, 2 product customers, 2 people who want to change the quality of their life. That's 8 people a month. That's 96 people a year. The sheer number and the volume of that, you're going to start to turn your business around because you require the repetition, the experience. You require the inner knowing of what is required to be able to communicate with people. So attraction is absolutely a skill. So if you're in anxiety, fear, and doubt, Don, Tyrone, Jackie, and Karen, you're going to attract your reality, people, and situations to fulfill those feelings. Now, if you start to access courage, which is a quality, it's not an emotion. So the emotions that rob you of your courage are anxiety, fear, and doubt. And those emotions are anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride. Tyrone, can you repeat those for me? You can't? Okay, I understand. That was just a test, just to see if you're being attentive. So you're eventually going to remember those: anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride. Now, those are the feelings that keep us in anxiety, and fear, and doubt. All it requires for you to overcome that situation is a quality called courage. Spell it, C-O-U-R-A-G-E. Spell it, C-O-U-R-A-G-E. One more time. Let me see your mouse move. Karen, let me see you. C-O-U-R-A-G-E. It's a quality. Don, let me see you. Use your hands. C-O-U-R-A-G-E. Now, the reason that's important, that word has inflection. It takes inflection to be able to say that word. Here's some other words that have inflection that are attractor factors. Absolutely. Now, if you're like me, you'll say abs-fucking-lutely. Unequivocally. You like that, Tyrone? Sometimes people confuse me. They think I'm from New Jersey. I'm actually from Iowa, Omaha to be specific. Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. It takes a lot more inflection to say yes than it is yeah, okay, sure. Yes, say it. So those are words that require inflection. So that raises your vibration. You're going to attract your reality, people and situations to fulfill your feelings. So you want to use that in an I am. I attract my reality, people and situations to fulfill my feelings. So the feelings are love, joy, bliss, enlightenment, inspiration, courage, belief. These are the words that you're going to start to incorporate. This is what raises your energy, changes your vibration. You begin saying this over and over. You begin to change. It changes the connection between the limbic brain and the gut. Now, we tend to operate off this part of our brain. This is called this is the neocortex. It's the analytical egoic brain. Right back here is the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve goes down this side of the neck, around the back, up the hip, and connects with the gut. This is the science. So Tyrone, if you're in fight or flight all your life because of the trauma bonds and the events that shaped your feelings, you're going to transmute a very low level of vibrational energy called fight or flight. And the fight or flight energy that we transmute is connected to cortisol and adrenaline. And so that's what we become addicted to. Then we stuff our feelings with food, alcohol, drugs, compulsive debting, spending, avoidance, procrastination. We spend a good deal of our life feeling overwhelmed, being overweight, stuffing our feelings, not being good enough. Then, wow, I'm going to join a business. Well, what am I going to attract? And I'm at this type of energy. I mean, this is science. You can overcome this. This isn't hopeless. Everyone can do this. So there isn't any one of you on tonight's call. There is not one of you that doesn't have the ability to create a 4-figure month, 4 figures. Forget being a millionaire, because it's not even important right now. What's important is you have a 4-figure month and a 5-figure month in a calendar year. That's achievable, Tyrone. So I'm gonna be coaching Dawn, and when I coach Dawn, we'll be focused on measurable goals, tangible goals that are realistic with a daily method of operation, a 1-day game plan, 90-day game plan. Forget a 90-day game plan. If you can't duplicate in 1 day, 10 days is not even important. It's what you do daily. It's what you do daily. So if you can go 1 day without being critical, that is a breakthrough. That 1 whole day without criticizing yourself, oh, that's so stupid. I coached a woman 2 hours ago. I counted. She said the word stupid 9 times in an hour. Now, if she says that with me 9 times in an hour, how many times is she feeling that throughout the day? What is she going to attract to reality? I'll tell you what she attracts. She's so scared to put herself out there that she's not putting herself out there. So she's afraid of failing. And so she's failing to engage, and she's attracting the very situation she seeks to avoid, Tyrone. She's failing to fail, and she's failing because she's so anxious about the responsibility of it. The reason that people fail is because they have so much anxiety about what they can't control. And control is an illusion. It's pressure. There's no pressure. You're not under any pressure. It's on the ceiling. There's nothing up there. What's important is that you learn to let go, separate your feelings from the events that shape them. So here's the affirmation for you. Dawn, Tyrone, Jackie, and Karen, my attractor factor is changing. I mean, you start with this tonight. I am changing who and what I attract. How many of you ever had a dog come up to you and just sniff you and go, oh, like that? Well, have you ever had that happen, Tyrone? It'll be cool when a woman comes up and sniffs you, or a man comes up and sniffs you, or some of influencer, wow, you smell really good. You have a business I can join? That is called synchronicity. That could actually happen, not quite in that fashion. Last Wednesday, I was sitting at home in between a call, and my phone rang. Now, this is my landline. I mean, who calls me on my landline in today's world? I'm the client. Well, I'll tell you who calls me, a guy named Jim Spaller. I enrolled Jim Jim was in my team in 1992, and then I enrolled him in 1996 in another business. And he called me up. I hadn't spoken to him in 15 years, and he called me up and he hired me to be his coach, Don, just like that. He had played college football at Cornell University with a guy who played pro football named Derek Harmon. He was a helicopter pilot in Desert Storm. He was an ROTC man. He owns his own. He has his own airline. He's an airline. He trains people how to fly planes. He's a pilot. He teaches people how to be a pilot. And he just called me up out of the blue and hired me, Tyrone. Isn't that what you want? That's called synchronicity, synchro destiny. When that happens, it's like this. It's OC. Practice this on command. I attract quality, like-minded prosperity partners on command. Practice it tonight. I attract quality, like-minded prosperity partners on command. Can you say that, Gail? Yo, Gail. Oh, nice teeth, Gail. I attract quality, like-minded prosperity partners on command. One more time. I attract. So this is right here. Here's my 2 cards for tonight. And it says, I easily and effortlessly attract prosperity partners. The reason it's prosperity partners because the partnership is the win-win. It's like, so if you really want to escalate your enterprise and say, practice this, my enterprise. Say it, Don, my enterprise. Practice it, Tyrone. Jackie, say it. My enterprise. Gail, you with me, baby? My, nice smile. My enterprise. Let me hear you mouth it. Use your hands. My enterprise. Because when you do it, now you start to own it. Don, it's like basketball, isn't it? That ball. Remember the two-handed chest pass, Don? My enterprise. In my team back in the 90s, we used to say, not in my enterprise, not in my enterprise. So, you really start to understand this and get a feel of it, and you start to move in to, oh, Tara, baby, are you feeling me? Chrissy, how are you? Now, Jenna Bickford, Stephanie, Linda, Mary Ann, good to see you this evening. Natalie, Avery, Zeta, Amanda Weger, oh my God, Nicole Sullivan, Consiglior, Krista, your boy Don hired me. That's amazing, isn't it? Speaks very highly of you, by the way. Celeste, remember me? Your homie, remember me? Your homie? Lori, good to see you. Jackie, Lori, oh my God. Lori, I still have Gary Gaetti's number he gave me. Desiree, how are we doing tonight? Kim O'Brien, Celeste, my girl, how are you? Remember Breakthroughs, Celeste? That was oh my God. How many came to Breakthroughs before? Remember those hazy wave moments? Desiree, how are we this evening? My Enterprise. Desiree, I'll bring you back out here in just a minute. So anyone who's watching tonight, if you would like to receive a free 20-minute coaching session, feel free to reach out to me. You can go up to Facebook Messenger and request a free 20-minute coaching session. These are on my website, $20 for anyone who buys a pack of affirmation cards for $20. I'll also add into it the Breakthrough Factor, so you can have a 2-for-1, $20. The Breakthrough Factor is my best-selling book, so Dylan will handle that tomorrow. If you get the affirmation cards, if you can, so you can at least have them when you hold on our call, $20 for those. And I'll give you if you already have the Breakthrough Factor, send me an email and we'll give you any book you don't have for free. So
I'll put the link in the chat.
And Dylan will put the link in the chat. So if you want a free 20-minute coaching session, you consider hiring me, go up there and request it. Desiree, come off speaker and let's have a GOFC, a good old-fashioned chat.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Awesome tonight. And brought back a lot of memories. I have your cards. You even signed them. And next week, we're going to be talking about the connecting factor. So that's another awesome call. And you will all get this recording tomorrow, I think by noon Eastern time through email. But Jeff, thank you so much for tonight. And we're all going to attract amazing people after all the content tonight. So
Desiree, I want to ask, how many get chills when I speak with you? Because you remember all the fucking events we did together. I mean, remember the room in Connecticut, Lori? Remember the first room with Drew Berman down there in the floor in that hotel? Remember that? Kristen, remember all the events in Philadelphia at the hotel? Celeste, remember Connecticut, all those events? Nicole Sullivan, remember we had dinner at Tarantino's? Remember that? Remember this? And your boy Greg, I used to sit there and watch him. God, I see everyone now. Good to see everyone. How is everyone this evening? Jackie Ruddy. Jackie, how are you this evening? Good to see you. Who's here? Alexis D, how are you? Oh yes, Stephanie, Fire Jewel, Linda Novellino, good to see you. Tara, T-Mac, how are you? T-Mac, I coached a woman who swam for Notre Dame. She dived for Notre Dame today. I told her about you. Avery, Zaida, now I'm going to see the whole picture. I can only see 4 people for the first part of it. Marianne, how are you? Good. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and dash here. Good to see everyone. Jason Daniels, I feel you, my brother. Thank you for all the likes out there. I miss all of you. I cannot wait to come back and speak someday. Lori, we have to do it again.
thank you, Jeff. See everyone next week for Connecting Factor. Thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
Desiree.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you.